the tools of we have available as just a mere human, it's not going to get the job done. That's what he's talking about here, that we don't wage this war according to our physical human standards or according to weapons or tools are not mere human ones. But we have the choice, don't we? We make the choice as to which tool we're going to use. Are we going to go to the junk drawer? Or are we going to go to this spiritual chest that we have, tool chest, the tool bin, and take a look and see what's up in the tool bin? We pull out a drawer. Well, maybe that's not quite what we need. Slide it back. And all this is not according to human nature. It's not according to human standards. But here he says, we have weapons used in warfare. They're not mere human ones, but through my God are mighty for demolishing fortresses. We all, as Christians, have the ability of resurrection power available to us. Some of us use the resurrection power to resurrect the flesh. Come on now, you have the choice. You have the power. God comes in, He saves you, He sets you free from having the need to or the control of the flesh. And yet we have the ability as Christians to resurrect. We have the resurrection power available to us. We can resurrect the flesh or we can resurrect the spirit. And we make the choice every day. We all have the power of resurrection. What do we resurrect today? Are we going to resurrect the flesh? Are we going to keep the tools of the flesh? Or the tools of the Spirit, the weapons of the Spirit? See, the weapons of God are mighty, he says, for demolishing fortresses. Who builds the fortress in the first place? We do. Why do we build fortresses? To protect ourselves. And who are we protecting ourselves from? Everybody. From God.
Getting hurt.
From getting hurt. From people, other people, relationships. We also want to protect ourselves. Sometimes protect ourselves from the truth of who I am. Or what I really look like in the mirror. So we build these fortresses. But God says, I have given you tools to demolish fortresses, to bring you to the truth, amen, of who you are. To be able to look in the mirror and be able to take it. Take what you see, amen. But they're available for demolishing fortresses. We said we had the resurrection power. We can resurrect either the flesh. I can bring back my old life before Christianity, before being saved. I can bring it back. Or I can live life as Christ lives. Amen. I can live in the newness of life. I can live a new life, a new way of living, a new way of thinking, a new way, a new tool shed. That's nice. A new tool shed. New tools. Guys like tools, right?
We collect them.
We like to collect them.
Big power tools.
Yep, more power, yep. But he's given us these tools in God or through God for demolishing fortresses. We have to demolish the fortress. Not in ourselves, but through the tools. Through the relationship, he says, through God, so it has to be a relationship with God. And then using the tools that God has given us to demolish fortresses. And then he goes on to explain what those are. He says, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh, for the weapons of our warfare, you'll recognize it this way, are not carnal, but are mighty through God to pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against God. Demolishing arguments and every barrier, he says, but through God are mighty for demolishing fortresses. For I am demolishing arguments and every barrier that is raised against the genuine knowledge of God. How do you raise fortresses? Fortresses are here in your mind. The fortresses are here in your mind. What are those fortresses? We go along to say what they are. Arguments. And every barrier that is raised against the knowledge of God. Arguments right up here. How many of us argue with God every day? I know you argue with your parents, but how many of us argue with God? Huh? Well, you don't say it out loud. Although some folks do say it out loud. It says, For I am demolishing arguments and every barrier that is raised against the genuine knowledge of God. Demolishing arguments. That's a fortress. If we can take and knock down the fortresses right up in here, through God, through the tools that God has given us, to demolish the fortress is to demolish the argument that we have. We set up all these fortresses in our mind. How are they set up? Because we argue with God. God says this is what you need to do. We say, not right now. Or yeah. We look in the mirror and we say, that's not me.
Did God really say?
Did God really say? Yeah. Was that God?
Yeah.
I need to go have a
That's
prophet
a good
and have it confirm this word that I've just got.
At least.
So we set up all these arguments. It's right up here. Well, I don't need to live that way. That's all right for them, but it's not. I don't need to live that way. That's okay for Jerry. He's a preacher. He's trying to reach the world with the gospel. Well, he can live that way. I don't need to live that way. Well, what's the difference? Jerry's a Christian. That's the way Christians live. It's not the way preachers live, as we know. Some don't. But you got to be a Christian first, and then you can reach the world. So he says, so what do? We set up these arguments in our mind. What do? They create fortresses in our mind. Protect ourselves from God, protect us from what God says about our lives, what we need to do. But here he says that he's given us weapons, tools, to demolish those arguments, to pull down those fortresses. Why? Because it's against the genuine knowledge. What is genuine? Real. Not religious knowledge. We're not talking about religious knowledge. It's so funny to watch religious folks. And I was there once. It's so funny. I mean, once you come out of that and you look back, or you listen to someone and, you say, that's a lot of word they're speaking, but they have no clue what they're saying.
That's right.
In other words, there's no genuineness about it, what they're saying. They have knowledge of it, but he's talking here about a genuine knowledge. In other words, that's real. It's real to you. It's personal to you. Genuine is real. I mean, wow. Some folks can just go at the word and but you look at their life and, there's a difference, isn't there? So it's real. So it says, for I am demolishing arguments and every barrier that is raised against the genuine knowledge of God. It's amazing. You can actually put up a wall God can't get through. That is the awesomeness of the responsibility we have as Christians to take note of how we're living or what we're thinking.